So let's take a look at GDPR in relation to the digital advertising landscape. Well, first of all, we have the user on a device, and as we know, in this day and age, a device can be anything from a laptop, desktop, mobile phone, tablet, even a games console, a television, maybe even a smart speaker. Lands on the merchant's website, quite straightforward, but then they leave without buying anything, and they visit a publisher website where they're served with an ad from the merchant that they've recently visited. So what's happened here is that the merchant, let's call them merchant X, has placed a cookie pixel on the user's device, and with that pixel the merchant is working with a retargeting company that allows that user to be retargeted with an ad from the merchant that they visited, so merchant X, when they visit a publisher website. So at this point we need to determine, okay, who is a controller and who is a processor, and we also need to understand recital 30 of the GDPR, which states that a natural person may be associated with online identifiers provided by their devices, applications, tools and protocols such as IP address, cookie identifiers or other identifiers such as radio frequency ID tags. This may leave traces which, in particular when combined with unique identifiers and other information received by the servers, may be used to create profiles of the natural persons and identify them, as is the case of what's happened here. Now say that user landed on that merchant's website via a natural listing, paid search ad, an ad from a video that they watched, maybe even the merchant's own CRM, email newsletter sign-up system, maybe via a publisher on an advertising network, maybe via an advert that they saw on their social media feed, or even maybe via an affiliate marketing link. Pixels have been dropped on that user's machine, and if we look at the affiliate network example in particular, that could be a pixel that lasts on the user machine for, say, a pre-agreed time frame with the merchant, say in this case 30 days, which obviously allows the affiliate to be rewarded their commission within that time frame if that affiliate site was the last site the user interacted with prior to making a purchase from that merchant. One observation from here, however, is that a particular affiliate is working with a retargeting company to drop a 13-month pixel on the user's device, even if that user did not complete a transaction by clicking on that particular affiliate's link. So if the merchant is working with media agencies, that media agency could be working with creative optimization companies, ad servers and trading desks to sell or to buy media based on the audience profiles that they're looking for on behalf of their client, who are also working with demand-side platforms to find publishers that fit the profile of their target user. The DSPs are also working with ad exchanges, ad networks, and also working with data management platforms in order to deduplicate from existing customer bases to new audience profiles, if that is the objective of the media agency on behalf of the request of the merchant. The data management platform is also feeding in data from data suppliers that are outside of the digital advertising landscape in order to find new audiences and to dedupe against existing customers as well. On the publisher side, they are selling their inventory via the ad exchanges, the ad networks, and also through inventory management systems called supply-side platforms, which interact with different links in the chain here. And all of this activity can be measured or verified by ad specialists. So what you've got happening is there are controllers wherever the user has reached the merchant's website from. So the search ad, the paid ad, the video, CRM, the ad network, the social media link, or the affiliate marketing link. They are all controllers if they've sent that traffic to the merchant's website. The merchant has become a controller because they will be determining the means and processing of that personal data after the user has landed on the merchant's website. If the merchant is working with a media agency, then there needs to be a joint controller agreement between the merchant and the agency to reflect where responsibility begins and ends when the user visits the merchant's website. So for example, the merchant may have responsibility for what happens with that user's data until the media agency then decides if they're going to trade that user's IP address with other parties, or if the merchant is working directly with a retargeting company, then there needs to be joint controller agreements in place to ascertain the responsibility once the retargeting company has taken that user's profile and determined the purpose after the event for the processing of that user's data via selling the profile to publishers or other parties via the chain. So what's happening here, as you can see, is a lot of joint controller agreements that need to be drawn up and finalized to be compliant with the GDPR. As I said earlier, this is all then measured and verified by external parties, although some media agencies actually have a vested interest in measurement and verification companies as well, or some media agencies also own ad servers and creative optimization solutions too. So then we need to work out on what lawful basis is this user's data being processed. Did they give consent at any point in the chain to have their data processed for different purposes to what was originally intended when that user visited the merchant's website? It needs to be documented for auditing purposes. If the companies are claiming legitimate interest, upon completion of a balancing test, this will provide the required answer to what grounds legitimate interest can be claimed. It needs to be documented for auditing purposes. If it's for the performance of a contract, that contract needs to be documented for auditing purposes. If the user is signed into a massive search engine company's ecosystem and has clicked on a paid ad whilst being logged into their email account, then what systems are in place to ensure that their privacy settings are adhered to and that they do not want to be profiled or have their data sold to retargeting solutions providers or display network solutions or other advertising solutions after they have visited a merchant's website. Because what would happen in any case under the current model, as illustrated here, is that the publisher would either serve the ad to that user showing the merchants that they just visited, or show them an ad from a different merchant who is buying the particular type of audience profile that the publisher has received onto their website and therefore wants to target that user with an ad for their company or their products. And that goes round and around and around and around. Hundreds, if not thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, if not millions. Under GDPR, there will be a seismic shift in how this landscape will potentially look, especially when you consider that the obligation to be notified of relevant third parties by the controller of what is happening with that user's information and getting them to opt in explicitly, unambiguously, and the rights that the data subject has in terms of having their data removed or objecting to their data being processed or restricted use of their data or their data being rectified. And when it comes to a subject access request, which they can do under their rights to be informed, as you can see, it certainly makes for interesting times moving forward within the advertising landscape as we currently know it.